I just didn't know it was coming.
I always have good intentions, but
Hold on.
I have been... Oh, I heard an echo. I don't know what you're laughing at.
Someone knocked really hard.
Everybody listen to the podcast right now. I just got 2 people at once, baby. Let's go.
What happened?
Nothing, apparently. Just a loud noise that nobody made, so that's pretty...
Those dang upstairs people.
Can you hear that?
Hear what?
Okay.
Yes, we can all hear that.
Nathan,
I don't know if
that's the soundboard.
It's not even on the... Is that the soundboard? Are you doing that with the soundboard?
No. Is that the soundboard?
And when you guys walked away, he was like, I just got 2 people.
Because I did it, Andrew went like this and muted. And then I hit it again.
As soon as I heard it again, I was like, oh, he got me.
I didn't understand what he was rejoicing about at first.
It sounds
like it happened again, and you guys were like, you guys, do you hear that knocking? Like someone's making a loud noise.
I thought someone was actually knocking on like the floor or the door or something. I thought this was real. That sounds so real.
It came through my right ear, and my door's on the
my right ear. Yeah,
my right
same.
side, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Y'all's Moms Have Tourette's podcast. On this week, one of our moms punched a bully on the bus and made his nose bleed because he was picking on her younger brother.
A bully boy.
That bully boy
I'm
on
Steven.
the bully bus. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Josh.
And he's Steven.
And I'm still
sick.
Anthony.
Oh, that makes a lot
Steven,
of sense.
That smolder was
like
really nice. I like that.
Yeah.
You should do that more often.
Listen, if there's one thing I know about my man Steven, our special guest here today, is he has the smolder. He has the smolder that can lift a boulder, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was everybody?
File it in a folder.
Weeks?
My week was wonderful. How about yours?
No, weeks.
Weeks
Plural.
were wonderful. How were yours?
Weeks plural.
I'm fine.
I've had some good weeks.
Okay. That's good.
A nice Christmas time has been had by all, I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
New Year's.
I got to see this boy and this boy in person for the first time since before we began this podcast, at least in the same time together. All 3 of us were together. Actually, a friend of ours got married, and so that's pretty cool. And we have some pictures and videos that I'm definitely going to the screen at any point. However, it does sound like that is not lowered in audio.
Really? Because I just lowered it even more.
Really?
Okay.
Well, maybe can you lower them by? But
so we all saw each other.
Yeah, we did. It was pretty cool, and we took a bunch of pictures and video. And I might just throw it up here, or not.
He might. Everybody remember this.
No. Listen. So, Andrew, how was your couple weeks?
Yeah, my couple weeks were pretty good. Just a lot of running around, holidays and such.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I haven't done a whole lot. Just kind of a lot of running around, last minute shopping, and normal people stuff. Just that kind of thing. Nothing crazy. We're really all just here to see what kind of meticulously ridiculous shenanigans Josh has gotten into. So we'll get to him last.
That usually is the case, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because clockwise is cool, I'm gonna go next. I had a couple. It's clockwise on my screen. A couple weeks. It was pretty cool. Visited family in Pennsylvania from Tennessee. Good old 6-hour drive, and then we hung out, had a good old late Christmas together, and then at the very end, right before we left, we went and, like I said, one of our friends got married. Good job, Hannah.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool because I got to see lots of people I haven't really seen in a while because I decided to leave them all and go 6 hours away. Blame my wife. But things have been pretty solid otherwise.
I would like everyone listening to the podcast.
I too had some friends who got married, which is wild. But I didn't have to drive anywhere to get to their wedding, so that was kind of nice. I mean, well, it was. I mean, it wasn't at my house, but it was right. It was wasn't 6 hours. But yeah, so that was fun, and it was interesting too because like they didn't actually like invite anybody to the wedding ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
They did that privately, you know, like at the courthouse kind of thing, like almost like they were eloping. But then they had a big like reception thing, so they invited us all to that, and it was all like Christmas themed and stuff. But it was really crowded. There was a lot of people there. And then for New Year's, this is fun. My family always does this, but we build this huge bonfire in our backyard, and have all the teens from our church come over. My mom and dad are the youth ministers. I might have said that last time, but yeah. So that's always like a huge moment. It's just like after we watch the ball drop and we say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year. We pray it and stuff. Then we go outside. We light this huge bonfire and make s'mores and things.
Sounds
this year,
I like that.
I came in clutch because I found like a really nice long stick. The thing is, like, when you get this bonfire, it always burns like so hot you can barely approach it. Like you start to feel like your face is starting to melt off. So I found this really long stick that I was able to put a marshmallow on and hold it out to cook the marshmallow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
After I was done with that, a lot of other people were like, "Can I use that, please?"
You got a good stick when other people want that. The good old stick envy.
How many s'mores did you eat?
Him.
So they ran out of graham crackers.
What?
I think I ended up making 2. Yeah.
Okay. That at least proves my theory right.
What's the theory?
That you can't just have one.
True.
I think it doesn't matter how.
Fun fact, though.
Like, you could be this big or this big, but you have more than one s'more.
Comments.
No, it's all right.
In the past,
fun fact, I actually don't even like s'mores, so
I've had only one.
Well, it's a good thing that we know Steven isn't perfect and he lies.
Indeed.
And Andrew.
What?
Okay, fine.
I don't think I've ever had
What
only
did
one
I
s'more.
lie about right now?
Well, no, I'm going about the not perfect thing and liking s'mores.
Yeah, I don't like s'mores. That's my unpopular opinion.
Well, but you never have just had one. You might have tasted one, said I don't like it, and put it down. That's not the same as.
I mean, so actually, the second one technically wasn't even a s'more because I did just take the marshmallow and put it between 2 melted chunks of chocolate, like melted and reformed chunks of chocolate.
I think that's still.
There was no graham cracker.
That's s'more adjacent. That's s'more-esque. I think it counts.
S'more adjacent waterfall.
Potatoes. My mic is going to be in front of it anyway. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so sounds like we had a good couple weeks. Right, Josh, we have the next hour dedicated to you. What's been going on with you, my friend?
Oh, nothing much.
Okay, cool. All right, back to gaming news.
Gaming news.
No. What's up? How was your week?
Don't make me do it.
Don't do it.
I got violently sick.
Violently sick.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
I stayed up Tuesday because I was off Tuesday for the holiday, and I was playing video games. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna use the bathroom before I go to bed. Sit down, and I was like, I don't feel so good. So I grabbed the trash can, and I was up till the next 12 hours, throwing up and coming out both ends. So
very nice.
I'm still. I threw up so hard I lost my voice. So I'm still fighting back.
That reminds me, throughout the holiday season, everyone in my family got sick, but I haven't yet.
Okay.
So
hopefully it stays that way.
A lot of people said it sounded like it was food poisoning, and I ate sheets that night. So, which is very disappointing because sheets used to be good, but now I have that mentality I'm probably don't want sheets ever again, even if it wasn't.
It won't last forever.
It could have been that fish.
It wasn't fish. It was chicken. Fried chicken strips, man.
No, I'm saying it could have been that fish from the wedding.
Oh.
But that was how many days later? Do you really get food sick that late?
I don't think so.
You can.
It would last that long.
Can.
That would suck. So, I guess this is my opening to talk about some crazy stuff. So, all 4 of us here go to church and are Christians and stuff, and I was training this guy at work, and He used to be he did something 41 years ago that he got sentenced to jail time for 6 years. Well, it was like 6 to 15, but he was good, so he got out at 6. So, but he's technically a felon, which is that's a whole other story. But anyways, he turned his life around, became a chaplain and stuff. And
At least this is what he told you.
yes, like I don't have proof.
Yeah.
But
We're taking his word for it. Right.
Yeah, that's
was
generally
telling
what
me
you want to do.
he was telling me stories about like the people who were in there, how they got in there, all this crazy stuff, and he was decent, different kind of person, like a little nice but weird, and yeah, and we got along, and I don't know how we started talking about it, but like an hour and a half from being done for the night, it got talking about the end of the world, the coming of Christ and all that, just the whole thing. And he's like, I really feel like we're in end times. And I'm like, everybody says that, but like, do you think they were saying the same thing back when Hitler killed 6 million Jews?
Right.
And he looks at me and goes, well, don't forget, Stalin also killed another 6 million Jews by himself too. I'm like, okay, 12 million people died of one group. Like, were people shouting back then, end of the world? I was like, it'll come when it comes. Like, there's no predicting this.
Were. Yeah.
So somehow, like, we glossed over that for a little bit. He continued telling his story, and he goes, "It's funny you bring that up. The end of the world. I'm writing a book about this."
Interesting.
Oh boy.
Remember the whole 2012 thing? The Mayan
Scientology
calendar?
has entered the chat.
Who doesn't?
It's I don't know where to start. So he believes that before people were created, there were these angels, and I don't know if God created these angels.
He said he's writing a story, right?
He's writing a book, yes.
Okay, it's not necessarily that he believes this, or is it?
He believes this. He's believing
like
it.
he's writing like it's nonfiction.
Yes.
It's something.
He's done research. He found these missing books of the Bible. He says that there's 14 missing books.
That's right.
There's 14 missing books from the Bible that the Catholics took out in 342
the Dead Sea
AD.
Scrolls.
And well, he said there used to be 80. There's 66, so 14.
Yeah. Okay.
Good math. I like it.
So
there's that algebra. Get excited, Steven.
I'm excited too.
So they just, for some reason, the Catholics just decided to take these books out of the Bible. And like, I was really stuck on that point for a while that he never got into. But he's like, I found some of these missing books, and like the Book of Enoch, and he goes, and all of them talk about my end time theories.
Yeah.
There are these angels that either God created or they were there and he didn't create them. I don't remember how he said that part. And
or something.
They came down and they had sex with humans.
The Nephilim, yeah.
Yeah, the Nephilim. That is a theory.
That's still in Genesis. That's actually out of the Bible. Totally.
Yeah, we're not.
Well, the Bible. Yet. Yeah, there's a lot. We could get into that, but continue.
So they created these Nephilims. Right. Well, his exact words were, God didn't plan for them. God couldn't figure out how to stop them. So the only thing he could do was the flood. And the reason he believes all this is, I guess it says, like, end times will be as it was in Noah's days. And he's like, well, what do you know about Noah's days? You never really hear about Noah's days. There's, like, no really description of Noah's days. Noah lived to 900 years old, but why after Noah did everybody start dying younger and younger? He goes, that's because God created the flood to kill all of the Nephilim. The Nephilim are the ones who created the pyramids and all these things because there's no technology back then that could have done it. So the Nephilims were the ones that created it. So God used the flood to kill all the Nephilim and then rewrite human DNA so angels couldn't sleep with humans again and create more Nephilims. So I'm listening and I'm like,
I heard the rewriting DNA thing, yeah.
Yeah. Well, then the second part is like there's God didn't know what to do with them. I was like, well, then I'm reading the wrong book because, like, my God is all-knowing and all-powerful. He absolutely would. Like, that's not even a term you would have described.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, he's like, you getting all this? And I'm like, yeah, never heard this before.
Sure am. This is called content, my guy.
So then it's like you're flying, you're driving 60 miles an hour down the road. The passenger's giving you directions. You've never been in this area before, and all of a sudden he goes, turn right real quick, and you're just like, sir. We turn on this dirt road because now he goes, you know all those UFO sightings that the governments have released? And all them like things that the Navy and stuff are seeing, and like they're super fast and you can't really see them, but you know they're there, and there's hundreds of thousands of them. He goes, you know how people get abducted? I said, I've never been abducted before. I don't know how it works. And he's like, well, what happens when they get abducted? I said, I don't know. He goes, they get experimented on. I'm like, okay. No, not yet.
Okay,
not yet.
all right. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm jumping ahead.
They get experimented on. And he goes, what do you think they're doing when they're doing experiments? What are they experimenting on? And he goes, their sexual organs. He goes, who gets abducted more? Women. I was like, these are statistics that I'm not hearing.
Yeah, hit me with the statistics, bro. I gotta hear these.
I'll take your word for it.
He's like, the women. So he says, so his thing is, aliens are demons that are hiding as aliens. They're testing on women to try to alter their DNA back so they can recreate Nephilim.
So the demons are Nephilim.
No, the demons are trying to change the DNA to create the Nephilim because the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood.
The way the
Why do the demons want Nephilim to exist?
Because the Nephilim were super evil,
apparently
beyond anybody's control, and that's how the end of the world is going to come, by recreating these Nephilim.
Well, that's just like a really deep thing to get into in the first place, because in the Bible it does state like they were considered mighty men of great renown, and like they were.
Well, remember, I texted Uncle James about this.
There's a lot, yeah. I mean, it's a very deep topic, and there's like two schools of thoughts as to what people believe actually the Nephilim were. So yeah, one of them is people do believe that angels did come down and breed with humans and create superhumans and stuff. But
we'll get into what Uncle James said if you want me to.
I'm fine with it.
Do you guys know what my favorite movie is?
Probably Bridge to Terabithia.
I hated that movie. I cried. Independence Day.
Oh, that's a wonder. I love that movie.
And out of nowhere he goes, so one day I'm watching Independence Day and God speaks to me. I'm like, oh, okay.
He might as well have said God spoke to him while watching the movie Signs.
He goes, God told him he was being indoctrinated. And he goes, being indoctrinated how? He goes, for argument's sake, God, tell me this. I'm like, you're arguing with God? No.
Well, he's making a postulation. It's
so
for argument's sake, like.
The thing that God told him is the media showing that there is possibilities of aliens, but aliens are actually demons, and he's being indoctrinated to believe that aliens exist. And I'm like, listen, dude, I just love Independence Day because the president's speech gives me chills. So,
listen, the cake is a lie. That's all you need to know.
Yes, sir.
That's
poor.
That's roughly the round thing, is that eventually these fake aliens are going to get enough women tested. They're going to rewrite the DNA that God changed, and then more Nephilim are going to be created. The Nephilim are going to come back and say, hey, we're the ones that created all this, and then basically the new Nephilim are going to be the Antichrist.
With all due respect, the only thing I can say about this guy is I'm
a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
Is exactly what he is. That is absurd. Absolutely absurd.
Yeah, Uncle James said there's some truth, there's some untruths, there's some lies, and some bad theology.
You know what's interesting about you saying that? is that's exactly what the Bible says about false prophets. Is there will be half truths and there will be postulation. Just because I love the fact that Stephen used that word.
Like
Yeah,
I was
very good.
I was texting Uncle James at midnight. I'm like, help! Help!
Help!
I mean, he says that
needs to be our next sound. Help!
It's kind of funny
alongside
too.
of he needs some milk. Sorry, Stephen.
It's funny because part of his premise is, that it comes from the thing about, things being like in the days of Noah, which is like in the time that it took for the story to finish. I looked up that passage where Jesus says, for the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah.
Yes. Yep.
For as in those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. So that was the one that he specifies.
He took a very large verse and just like cut 4 words out and goes,
It's
"This
called
is it."
Just cherry picking from the Bible, and apparently books
he
that are not
specifies-
even in the Bible.
I'm making an
to
allusion
support-
to Noah because
Yeah.
the people who got destroyed in the flood had no idea it was coming. Right?
Mhm.
They thought.
Which, by
everyone's
the
just gonna
way,
keep
yeah,
going
I'm
as it
glad
is.
you said that, Stephen, because I'm pretty sure that's Genesis 9. I want to say 15 or 16. I'm pretty sure that's where it says, remember my covenant that is between you and every living creature afresh, that all water shall never come again to flood or destroy the world.
Mhm.
Like that's the scripture that you should be using about the days of Noah, because a lot of people are saying the world will be flooded as well whenever it's the end of the world, when God went outside of his way to be like, listen guys, nah fam, we ain't gonna do this again. People are just wacky, man.
Yeah, I feel
Well,
like
and
we
Uncle-
don't even need to sit here and like debate every single one of his points, because that guy's just
Yeah.
wacky.
Well, there's no debating. Like we
Yeah.
know. I was just like this. I'm just driving and this just hit me
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Which, before we get into too much more of the podcast, I wanted to bring this up, and I was trying to wait for a comfortable moment too, and there's just not going to be one. So I want to do it before we get like too silly and off track. But for one, I know I was late to the podcast because I was on the phone with somebody, and I'm not going to mention any names because I know the two of you would know who I'm talking about. But just. And it seems completely random, so I apologize. But I do believe I speak with everyone here, including Steven, knowing what little bit I know about him. When I say that if you're struggling with anything, please, it's really offhanded, and we're a goofy podcast talking about people's mothers and whatnot. But if you're having any real issues, and for some reason you feel like you're being led to talk to one of us about something, about hurting yourself or cutting yourself or anything, please reach out.
Anything.
Regardless of what's going on in your life, I promise that there's going to be people that want to listen to you. I know I recently got news that one of my friends that I know pretty well, their kids started down this path, and it's people that we may know, so it just affected me. And I know I speak for everybody whenever I say, yeah, please just reach out if you're having problems. All the
For
four
sure.
of us weird dudes will gladly do our best to help you out. But yeah, so there was no
I'm
easy way
very
to fit that in.
experienced
No,
in that
that
area.
was perfectly fine spot to add that. No, I appreciate that a lot, Andrew. And yeah, we are very much like, obviously, like just normally 3, now 4 at the moment, dudes just chilling, hanging out, having a good time, enjoying each other's friendship, and just being silly and goofy. And because I feel like we're not really a comedy, we're kind of like a comedy gaming podcast, because I feel like we always just try to be funny and just have a good time with it. But for real, like, yeah, everything Andrew said, 100%.
We're here for
goes
entertainment,
me.
but entertainment can be anything. You can go listen to a sermon as
sure.
entertainment. You can go see a comedian as entertainment. But almost all of our episodes have had some little touch of religion. I don't want to say religious, but I don't know another word. But like some sort of our faith has been involved as often as we can. And like what Andrew said, like some of us are experienced in that area or that path. I know I am. So like it's not. There's nothing wrong with talking to somebody. No matter who it is.
100%.
And if you're ever interested in talking about Jesus, we are also there as well for you. Just saying.
And make sure you
More than
read
happy to.
the whole passage and not just a couple words.
Mhm.
Context, bros.
Context is the most important thing in the world. Well, maybe not in the world.
Well, since there's absolutely no recovering from this, I'm just going to go straight into it and say, gaming news, boys.
So the thing about the books of the Bible that were taken out, that's a whole big, deep, long rabbit hole that we can't get into right now. However, there is a good
I'm
reason
telling you.
why the books were decided, the 66 here and the 14 or whatever, however many there are that were decided to not be put in the Bible. It wasn't just like 3 Catholic dudes just sitting around one day and being like, I don't like these books. Hey, throw that in the furnace. I like these ones, so we're gonna hold on to these. There's like actually so much history that I couldn't go into it all right now. I don't know it all. I would have to actually do research directly. But
if you want to research it, you can actually find all the different writings of the people who are at this council, and
it was very important to them back then because they knew this decided the future. I mean, it was very. I believe it was God led that God worked through them to decide what would be considered His word to us. So there's reasons why we believe the things we do. It's not just willy-nilly. But yeah, that's I wanted to touch on that point before we got into gaming news. So gaming news, unless someone wants to add to that. Okay. All right. So I have these pulled up here. I definitely already have them pulled up, and I'm not doing it right now. So, one thing, there's a game out there called Star Citizen. Isn't this that game that's been around for a super long time, and you can spend an absurd amount of money in it to buy starships and stuff? Does anyone here know much about Star Citizen?
Yes, I play it.
Josh, that is the game you play, and you've tried to talk me into playing. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense now. Star Citizen introducing a 48,000 ship bundle, but $48,000 ship bundle. That is
like USD, real currency.
US dollar. USD. 48,000. I have $48,000 in my bank, and I'm going to give it to Star Citizen, the video game. But hold up. Only for players who have already spent $10,000 in the game. Wrap your heads around that for 1 second. I know that's going to take you a second. I know you might have to go lay down. Don't do that. We're in the middle of a podcast, and we need. Yeah.
Or you could be driving when you're listening to this.
Josh, I need you to refrain from purchasing this.
Yeah, Josh, you can't do that.
This is where
I know you're loaded.
Because I have to fight the 10th commandment of envy, of that kind of success, that there are people spending $10,000 on your game, and you're like, you know what? You could spend even more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually absurd in the highest degree.
I don't know if you would consider that's successful, but some people aren't married or have a lot of expenses.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
I was not even.
Who could be one of those people?
There's apparently somebody out there, right?
Yeah,
I'm only offering this bundle unless you had a feeling that somebody.
Are you saying it because I don't have 10 grand and I don't have kids? I should be buying this bundle.
I'm only at 10% of that bundle requirement, so there's a lot of work.
So apparently this is a very common kind of thing that they've done in the past, selling high-priced. It's called legatus. I don't know how it's pronounced. Bundles to its biggest spenders. They've done it for years, and I guess each new year brings in an updated bundle that includes more ships and a higher price tag to account for them. But apparently it's a very common thing that they do. It's I can't imagine the amount of money these people rake in if people are actually buying this stuff. But apparently these
Steven
bundles.
Looked it up last week. It was $600 million raised from people.
Do they have Elon Musk playing their game or something?
Yeah, and it's off of 52 purchases.
Josh,
how many people out there like that? Is Andrew Tate? Is that who's playing this game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, only the Andrew Tates. Joshua, listen. So you play this game, right?
Oh yeah, I was.
Isn't this the kind of game that if you're super into it, can't you capture enemy ships and sell them for real money? Isn't that something people do?
You can remove the hardware off of their ship, take it on your ship, and then explode their ship.
Okay, or that. So gaming. No, but
we're talking about translating it back into real money. People will pay you real money.
Told that, there's a black market for it. Yeah, that's where I get my
Oh,
shit.
I'm told that's a
Josh.
very common.
Wow, Josh is over here. He's like, I get all of my high quality gear from the illegal people who like to sell.
Well, it's not
cheap
illegal.
gear.
They don't have anything against it because it still comes back to
Yeah,
in
it
a
comes
roundabout
back
way.
right
Still
to-
comes
yep.
back to.
They're like, yeah, you know
Yeah,
what? We're
dude.
gonna get that money
GGI
back
too,
anyway.
dude.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That's insane. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Somebody else wants to add
Article
on to that.
2.
We're going into Article 2 of gaming news, which has to do with a game called Maple Story. I know nothing about this myself, however. Maple Story, actually, it's about the developer of a game called Maple Story. So the developer, Nexon, from the people who did Maple Story, they were fined nearly $9 million for deceptive loot box practices by the Korean FTC. FTC stands for, I don't know. I don't know what it stands for. Federal Trade Commission. That's what I was going to say. Now, so they're getting hit by this big ol' fine because of their loot box practices. Apparently, they were lowering the probability of some loot box items capable of upgrading player equipment known as cubes without telling players. So the players were like purchasing real life money, purchasing these loot boxes, but like they were like over time lowering the odds to get certain things and whatnot. And but there are some places or some parts of the gaming world where you like the actual, I don't know if this is like an actual worldwide international law yet, but it's a law in a lot of places where your games have to actually like tell you if there is something called like a loot box, some kind of thing where you're gambling, it has to tell you the odds of like what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. But not everything does, and I assume that's part of a reason why this is an issue. But apparently the judgment claims that Nexon engaged in these practices for more than 10 years, dating back to like 2010. It wasn't just that. They apparently supposedly did some other things, but loot boxes are a wild thing in games these days. Just a cash grab. Like, people just like to gamble. And so if you have like...
Well, the crazy thing is that $9 million that they were fined, does any of that go back to the people that bought it?
I don't know how that works, to be honest.
So that's crazy.
I don't think it's a settlement.
Someone else just keeps the money.
Yeah, I don't really... But the thing is...
Does it say class action lawsuit?
I don't believe so. It's just a fine.
Just fined by the FTC.
Just a fine by the Federal Trade Commission. But the thing about loot boxes, I mean, this is my opinion I'm going to throw into here because
that's a cash grab.
Yes, sir. I don't actually mind loot boxes if they're done well. One, the items that you receive from the loot boxes can be, I mean, the actual loot boxes itself can be grinded for in the game without spending real money. And if there's... Where did that sound effect come from? Was that from my side? That was weird.
That was your side. I didn't hear anything.
I don't know why I did that. Sorry. And two, if the loot boxes are only cosmetics. Okay, so the best... I don't consider Overwatch a good because they just completely destroyed their game with Overwatch 2. Not going to get into that right now. Overwatch did it perfectly. All of the loot boxes could be earned just by playing the game. But if you really wanted to like get some extra, or event comes and you want to spend some extra money, sure, go for it. You can get some cool skins or something, but you can buy them all yourself also with like credits you can earn in the game. So, and it was all aesthetic stuff. So that doesn't really bother me, but lots of games like this one specifically talks about the games that they were making has like the loot boxes you can purchase are all about like upgrading like equipment and stuff in the game that you use. So like, that's very much not just aesthetics. And, that's like, yeah. I'm going to be, I have lots of money. I'm a very wealthy person, and I'm going to be better than these other players at the game because I've spent more money on the game. And that's
change your ability to win and progress.
I hate that. I mean, everyone does except for the rich people, but it's a mess. And that's a big reason why gaming in the last really decade, 5-6 years to decade has been rough because so many games are going that sort of route. Any other thoughts on that?
Crazy.
Mickey Mouse
Clubhouse.
All right. So, anybody know the original Mickey Mouse? It's called Steamboat Willy. And this year, January of this year, he has entered the public domain. So, which means anybody can use his likeness in any kind of content whatsoever. I can go and I can make a horror game inspired by Steamboat Willy, where Steamboat Willy is the guy, the big old scary monster that you're trying to run from. Oh, look, someone's done that. Mickey Mouse inspired horror game Infestation 88 announced. And apparently it's not the only one, by the way. There have been multiple. So, good thing is this article has an update at the very beginning that says, since the initial announcement, Nightmare Forge game has denied claims that the game's title is a neo-Nazi reference. So yeah, Nightmare Forge Games has announced Infestation's Origin, a new 1 to 4 player survival horror co-op game that aims to infuse nostalgia with terror in the vein of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, by twisting the now in the public domain Steamboat Willy into something much scarier. So this is in development for PC, and they're putting it out, and looks pretty creepy, but it also looks pretty generic. So I don't know, we'll see. And that's the thing. Now people are making technically Mickey Mouse horror games and getting away with it because it's public domain.
In other news, I think we have a new game that we can put on our list that we're going to play this year.
I'm not against playing bad-looking games for the podcast. You guys don't like horror games, though, do you?
Not me.
We over here playing Alan Wake,
and
I don't. There's some that are really cool. I've not really played a lot, but there's some I've seen people like. I used to watch Markiplier all the time, and he would play horror games left and right. There's some really cool ones out there. I think I like them more than you guys. So, but I don't expect us to do too much on this podcast. But yeah, that's a thing. Now, I guess.
Right. Here for Alan Wake, episode 6, the final.
We're finally here. How do you guys feel? We finally finished Alan Wake. Steven has played. I feel a little disappointed too. It wasn't. I just feel like we were expecting more. Oh gosh, what am I doing? I'm gonna have to edit that. I'm trying to move my thing so I can pull up the synopsis. Alan Wake, episode 6 synopsis. Great. So, here we go. I feel like not a lot happened in this episode. Most of it was just running to get to the lake.
Running through the woods.
It was odd. And it looks like the synopsis is shorter than normal. Who would have guessed? So,
Nathan, why did it take you 2 hours to do this?
Because I'm bad.
Okay. All right. So read the synopsis.
Skill issue.
The
All
ending?
right, so yeah, episode 5. I'm not gonna lie, I've forgotten entirely what the clicker even is, and it's confusing to me. So it was kind of funny. It's just like it feels like a plot device to. It's like he got a lightsaber and now he can beat everybody. I don't know what this thing is.
It was like something that he grew up with. Apparently, he's like, "Oh, my mom gave me this when I was."
And
a
it can
kid.
defeat the darkness.
Yeah,
that makes so much sense.
That's the whole point why I think people thought this game was super deep at the end, because it is he literally, like, listen to me, he actually wrote a plot device into the story. Like that's the game. He wrote the plot device of the game, of his story, into the story.
It's hilarious
and then
that
he goes,
couldn't
click,
have just
done.
Written that.
No, just read the
Alice
synopsis because it gets worse. It gets worse at the end. Like so much at the end just doesn't make sense anymore.
And there was no more cardboard cutout.
And we never saw.
I was very disappointed of that.
Episode 4.
Didn't see anybody ever again.
Episode 4. Barry's like, Al, I've kept this safe for you. This is so important. Episode 6 comes and goes, and we never see it again. What was the point? Alan doesn't care. We cared. We cared, and Barry cared. And it didn't matter.
Maybe it drowned at the bottom of the lake with him.
The statistics made me even madder.
Because, you know.
Oh, that's right. I have
sacrifices have to be made, right? So it was a
All right, sacrifice. Read this.
Sacrifices don't always have to be made. On the road to Cauldron Lake, so we ended off last episode where he found the clicker, the plot device that he wrote into the story to defeat the darkness. Right. I don't get how that works. We had to all go with it. And so he ends up leaving Barry and, I don't know, the lady in the light, or the lady of the light, and who was it? The sheriff as well was with them, right?
The female little chick.
The sheriff.
He leaves her and Barry in the well-lit room.
Yeah, they're safe in the well-lit room, which is the funniest name of a location ever, and I love it. That's funny in a good way, though. So here is how episode 6 begins. So on the road to Cauldron Lake, Alan decides to go alone to Cauldron Lake.
It's just like, here's the name of 4 places. Which one is from a action thriller and one well-lit room? It's like
Mm-hmm.
room of
We fight a
precisions.
tornado in this episode. If anyone is watching this and didn't know,
Slashing chainsaw.
Just keep
spoiler
going.
alert.
Sorry.
That thing was stupid.
Alan decides to go alone to Cauldron Lake to fight the dark presence once and for all. He makes his way through the devastated. I'm gonna have to wait a second. That's picking up on my mic, I think. No,
it's
you're
not.
fine. What are you doing?
You want me to read it?
Oh, no, I'm happy to. I mean, unless do you want to? Do you want to pull up the synopsis and
Sure,
read
I
it since
find
you're
it.
here? It's
I can read kind of fast.
All right.
What do you just Google Alan Wake synopsis?
Alan Wake episode 6 synopsis. If you want to do it, go for it. Just make sure you hit all the points in it. I normally just read it straight because it's funny how it's written on here sometimes. But
From the fandom?
yeah, I'm on Alan Wake fandom, I think.
Yeah. All right, he decides to go to Cauldron Lake alone. He makes his way through the devastated mountainous areas. Blah, 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 the darkness attacks him. Of course, darkness is always attacking him. Taken's always attacking him. We don't need to wallow in that. Fights through them and gets to the top. And then there's a giant black tornado. He fires several flares and destroys it completely. Following Zane's manuscript, he jumps into the lake, only to wake up in a fake dream created by the dark presence. In the dream, he's confronted by the illusion of Alice in their apartment, imploring him to stay with her as he wanders through the house looking for the clicker. He shines his flashlight on a glowing word spelling clicker, grabs it, and it turns into a clicker.
Now, before we
Like
continue
you
with
know,
the synopsis, I have to say this
grab
is the very end of the game. There is
Basically, yeah.
basically nothing explained in the synopsis because the whole episode is just you running from the well-lit room to
plot
Cauldron Lake and
twist.
just fighting a bunch of things.
The plot
wasn't
twist is you're expecting everything to be explained, but it isn't.
All right, continue.
Yeah.
All right, dark place.
So the dark place. The writer then wakes up to find Zane in a diving suit in the water around him. Zane introduces him to Mr. Scratch, a mirror image of Wake, to take Wake's place while he's in the cabin. Alan fights through the darkness surrounding him, shining light on various words to bring them into reality. As he moves forward, the dark presence sends him messages to him in both Jagger and Alice's voice. As he nears the cabin, he hears an echoes of the past. Thomas Zane, having brought his love Jagger, back through the power of the cabin, sees her heart filled with darkness and physically cuts out her heart with a knife. Alan enters the cabin to find Jagger, hole where her heart was. He sticks the clicker in the hole and turns it on, destroying her.
Click, click.
He then goes upstairs to finish the manuscript. A narration from Alan concludes that the ending must have a balance. Everything has to play out evenly. A cutscene is shown where Alice reemerges from the lake, shivering on the broken pier, calling Alan's name. Deerfest begins. Several characters are shown cheering. It's Tor and Odin. And we are shown Rose, now appearing much as Weaver was, with a lantern hunched over in front of the Oh Dear Diner, with Agent Nightingale sitting in the window, appearing much like Jagger was in the previous episode. In the end, we see Alan's once more in the cabin, at the typewriter, his eyes seeming dead and unseeing, much like his first visit in the cabin after Alice's fall. We hear him say the last few words of the last page of the manuscript. It's an ocean.
That cut out a little bit. It's not a lake. It's an ocean.
There you go. As the screen blacks out, we hear the voice of Alice saying, "Alan, wake up." The episode ends with a period mark followed by ...
Great title song. Rocket Man.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I didn't remember it. The
Well,
titles.
and then they
Listen.
play, then during the credits, they play, ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah.
And I had that song stuck in my head for like 4 or 5 days.
All right,
But
so
thankfully I
first
chased
of
it out
all,
with Christmas music.
I'm mad because the whole part where you're like, shine the flashlight on the word for the word to turn into a physical object. I'm like,
weird.
I'm gonna shine my flashlight on everything and get an achievement. Nothing. You
Oh.
could have just shined your flashlight on the word path, bridge, cabin, and been done.
That's what I did. That's exactly what I
You
did.
did that.
I was like, no, I don't
You're
need...
the guy who likes to go off.
As soon as I saw all these
There were
stupid
thermoses.
words, like I saw a giant telephone pole, I was like, no, I don't need any of this.
Thermoses?
Yes.
I didn't
There were
see any
thermoses. There was
thermoses.
the word thermos.
It
if
was
you
the
go to
first one that was there. It was
Oh,
like
yeah, I got
slightly
that
off to
one.
the right. And I was
Right.
like, no, this is dumb. Let me just finish this. And then I was like, oh, okay. This is finishing the game. My bad. Didn't
Right.
realize that. It was so bad.
Yeah, that
So
was very strange.
I was really looking forward to like, and I don't mean for this to sound demeaning, Josh. I just understand that we play vastly different types of games. I'm really into the story aspect of stuff, whereas you're usually more into the competitive stuff. I was really looking forward till the end of this to be like, yeah, Josh, like this is a literary device, this was a plot device, like this is why they did what they did. No, I cannot. I'm on Josh's
Pick out
side. I
anything.
cannot
I
defend.
literally
this.
was like,
I got
I'm
nothing.
a fan of Stephen King novels. Let me just take all the elements that are in Stephen King novels and stir them up in a game, and it'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this game did so well. Like, first of all,
Me
I'm
either.
just so tired of running through the woods for no reason at all.
Well, it doesn't help that I
At
didn't like
least-
the controls at all. Like it felt
Yeah.
clunky
true.
and like
At least this time you had a gun at the start, though, Josh. That might have made you a little bit satisfied at the moment.
No.
No.
So, I mean, if this game was made like back in the era of like asteroids and stuff, right? it would be
Would have been
brilliant.
amazing.
It'd be an
My
absolute
mind would have
masterpiece.
exploded.
I mean, even the fact that
Because-
this was like 2010, I feel like the graphics,
Yeah.
maybe not the cutscenes, but the graphics.
The
hold up
graphics were
for
cool.
20 or
Yeah.
for a 13-year-old game. That was
Because
fine.
like back then the games were like what Super Mario Bros and stuff. The story was like nothing, and it was more about just like what sort of new element can you bring to a game. And I did
Yeah.
feel like this game kind of did that. It had this sort of flashlight thing, and integrating that with dodging and stuff. So there's kind of this like 2-tiered system, and there was the
Oh, I had 2 tiers.
resource management aspect to it, right?
So,
But
Alan
Yeah.
can only run for like 2 seconds, but all of a sudden he's strong enough to push mine carts out of the way.
I don't know, man. I mean, that wasn't really a bone I had to pick.
And
but-
and again, I think I brought this up either in episode 5
bothers
review or
me.
maybe episode 4 review.
yeah.
But
You
like,
just skip cardio. and-
yeah, I don't remember if it was the
Get the
episode
muscles.
4 or 5 synopsis that I brought it up in, but like, I realized there was a point where if anything you don't like about this game, he can literally write it off to be like, oh, well, this was just something that I had to do so that we could make sense of it. And it's just, oh gosh, it's like apologizing before you go and being like, sorry, your food might suck, and then just giving someone like raw food. Like, I didn't cook this chicken, but here you go. But if it sucks, I already warned you. My bad.
Right.
Well, but my point with the whole minecart thing is like he doesn't have a very strong stamina to run at all. Like you run for like 2 seconds and then he's like,
Okay.
and then
it's
but,
not
like
2
all of a sudden
seconds, but-
he's strong enough to like push this minecart, and that's the first thing I thought. Like I can't run anywhere with you, but all of a sudden you're strong enough to push. Those minecarts are very heavy. They got train wheels on the bottom of them.
Mm-hmm.
The running thing.
That's all we
was
have.
Old. I couldn't.
Just
I was so
minecarts.
mad.
That's
with
why
the
we all
running.
hate
Yeah.
it. No.
Yeah, and the minecart though, like that scene, I don't know about you guys, but like when I'm riding through the minecart across the track, all I kept doing was like bouncing.
Me
Like
too.
my character model would not stand still because it was not designed to. And it was just like trying to flashlight the birds wasn't difficult, but it was annoying because you're just sitting there like you have like Parkinson's disease trying to like flashlight these birds.
Right.
It's
I
ridiculous.
don't remember that. I mean, I remember that scene. I don't remember that happening to me, but I'm sure it did.
Yeah, I guess mine must have settled in the cart, maybe.
I feel
No, mine
like
didn't. 'Cause
I'm.
I was trying to crouch to see if that did anything, and like the first time I like attempted, I thought I like saw him go like that, and I'm like, which button did I hit for crouch? And then I kept doing it. I'm like, I don't know which one it is, and I'm like, oh, it's just him being dumb.
I don't know if I'm just big stupid or what, but I didn't understand like half the ending.
I didn't either.
You're
Well,
not-
I got
you're not alone.
questions.
Okay.
I have
No.
questions.
Why
Yeah,
is it
they
an
just-
ocean, and why did it?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Also, why did Alice just appear off the pier
By herself,
by
in a missing cabin.
herself?
Like
And
the
there's
cabin
no
wasn't there
cabin or
anything.
bridge, and Alan was gone. And what time period was that? And also, where is she now?
Listen, you're skipping ahead. I have
All right,
some
all right.
questions.
Josh
What
has
they've
the
alluded
notes.
to.
Andrew,
It seems like he had to write into the story
It was terrible.
He surrenders himself to the darkness of the lake so that she could be freed from the darkness.
He didn't surrender himself.
That's the balance.
I feel like that wasn't told very well because I didn't even
it
pick
wasn't.
up on that.
Andrew, when you're walking towards the tornado in the beginning, did you realize there was a jump spot?
Only right before I fell off.
No, I died.
No, I didn't fall off.
Yeah, I didn't die. I just like stopped and I was like,
That's
oh,
hilarious, though.
And I had like that invisible ledge that I was standing on. I was like, yeah, I should have died there. For the first time, I didn't die by gravity. That's the only positive about this episode.
It was like the train
that's
cars,
a
like,
lie.
Flying past, right?
Yeah, yep.
No,
I
well,
did
not
die
that
by
first one.
gravity.
Before you get to that, there's like a little jump, and I didn't even see it.
Yeah, there's a jump.
And I was just like, oh,
I
crap,
did die by
start
gravity.
jumping.
Now that I forgot about it, it was at the beginning where you take. I think it's like the second truck that you take, and you try to drive through the tunnel, and it's blocked off. I was like, maybe if I take this truck slow enough past the tunnel down the side that I can just drive past. No, as soon as you go down that little 10-foot hill, you just die. It's like, yep, there's my gravity death. That'll work.
I wonder if our 2024 brains are the reason why we enjoyed this less. Like, I feel like if we played it back in 2010,
can't be.
Well, okay, so was this game a critically acclaimed? Because I know the second one was. Like,
yes.
It came out.
Yes, the first one was critically acclaimed.
The first one won awards.
Yeah, it might have won Game of the Year, or at least it was nominated.
So right,
I feel like it's not that good.
Yeah, we're expecting more story, but all these kinds of things, like the amount of variation that is unusual for a game. Like the fact that pretty much each chapter you're kind of going to a new place, crossing new terrain, and also there's new types of enemies and new elements being thrown at you in different ways. That takes a lot of programming to do that. There was a lot of effort, like the whole tornado thing. Sure. It's like that hasn't appeared before, right? Most games like Super Mario and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's like when they have a device, they're going to use it again and again. It's like only the boss battles are sort of unique.
But I do want to remind you, and I know that this is a very different style of game, but Skyrim only came out 2 years later, and Skyrim is Skyrim. So what they did was cool, but it wasn't groundbreaking for the time.
Not at all. And I mean, just off the top of my head, there's 2 games that I know that came out in 2010, which is the same year Alan Wake came out of. And it's Red Dead Redemption 2, or no, Red Dead Redemption 1 and Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
And those games are far superior in my opinion.
I've never played
Wake.
any Mass Effect.
Storytelling,
nor that.
Anything like that. And one more. What was it? It was one of the God of War games. One of the God of War games came out in 2010.
I mean, what you might just have with Alan Wake is just, there's some writer somehow convinced, some team
but
of
how did
developers
he convince everybody else that this was a good game?
I'm a good writer. This is really cool. It'll be like Stephen King.
Did people just think back then?
Sometimes you hire them on before the whole thing is finished, and you're like, oh yeah, you've got skill and whatever, so make us a game.
So, the second time I tried jumping across towards the tornado, I got hit in midair by a boat. And then when you jump to where the flare box is, I sat there and shot 30 of them. Just to see if I was doing anything, and nothing happened.
I was doing
When I went to jump to the next rock, I missed and fell to my death again. Finally, I made it all the way across.
Back, right? Because you respawned.
Killed her with my third flare or whatever it was. So, and then dealt with all that. And then I got an achievement for beating the game on difficulty. I would have hated myself if I played it any harder.
Yep.
Yeah, I just played normal. There was easy, normal, and nightmare, and I just played normal.
Yeah, I played normal too. So the one question is, I don't understand the heart thing. Why did Thomas Zane cut her heart out? I thought the Thomas Zane was married to the Lady of the Light.
I guess not. If he's married to the Lady of the Darkness.
Yes.
Then where did the Lady of the Light came from? Why is she such a big thing out of nowhere?
Is somebody who was written by Alan Wake, right?
Yes, correct.
And also, wasn't there some stuff where he's like, Thomas Zane wrote something about me?
Alex Casey or something like that.
I feel like the Lady of the Light was just like a doomsday prepper.
They created this, right?
Yeah, but she knew Zane so well. I just don't know I don't understand how that was involved.
And so it was to kind of very quickly make the point why Alan's going to have to sacrifice himself at the end. So Thomas Zane didn't do any sort of balance. Thomas Zane went for a full happy ending, I guess, right? By bringing his wife back, writing his wife coming back.
Good for him.
And himself. But then because he didn't have any sacrifice, any kind of balance or something, he went mad and killed her. And then she became the darkness. And so that's why Alan Wake says, all right, I have to make my ending be bittersweet, where I save my wife. But in order to do that, I surrender myself to the darkness.
I don't understand how he surrendered. He killed her with his clicker to the heart.
Was him just like typing
and then why
at
was
the
there
end there?
a double?
Was that him just being surrendered? Like he was just writing for the darkness forever or something? Like,
I think that was kind of the idea.
As far as I can make out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Maybe they explain it more in Alan Wake
notion.
2. That's the whole thing. The whole thing is just a ploy for Alan Wake 2.
That came out 13 years later.
So when they showed the diner girl, did it seem like she was a little creepy holding that lantern? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
That was on
I mean,
purpose,
she was like messed up from the darkness before, and I don't think she's gotten better.
And I didn't. So my next question was, who was the weird guy trapped behind the boarded window? But you said in the synopsis it was the FBI agent.
Nightingale.
That wasn't a window, though, was it? It just looked like a boarded up wall that, like, he was phantoming behind. Like, he looked trapped.
I mean, if I have to try and think of, like, you know, the same way that, like, The Shining was like, oh, it's representative of, like, you know, generational pain and trauma or something, right?
This is causing me generational pain and trauma.
It's generating some pain and trauma right now. If I had to try and think of some interpretation of that for Alan Wake, it is that, you know, sometimes there are just tragedies, you know, in life. Like, you know, sometimes you do just lose your wife, that there is darkness in this world. And then you often don't just get to, you know, wish it away, right? You don't often just have the power to snap your fingers and make it go away. It will take some kind of sacrifice.
Nathan, real quick, Nathan, while we're talking, can you look up like a ending to Alan Wake 1 Explained? See if there's a little synopsis you can read.
All right, I feel like I gave this game vastly too much credit when I thought it was going to write its own ending.
The beginning was really terrible. Cool. Like, this isn't making sense.
No, that was another thing that I thought, is that maybe it was just one of those things where they started down a plot line, but then they were like, this is too many people are going to, you know, see what this is about. So let's try and change it, and let's change it again.
Well, I feel like there's probably some like really, really vague deepness to this that was just portrayed so murkily, because I don't know. I'm sure the writer wasn't just stupid. Like, I'm sure he was like, he has a reason for making the game and the reason for making the story the way he did. But I just don't like the way they portrayed it.
Listen, I'll say this for 100% accuracy. This game feels like a slightly done better version story-wise of another game that we tried to play on this channel, and that was Home. Because Home also did a terrible job of trying to do a really cool story. And I think that's what Alan Wake did. They just did it with a lot more money.
Home was just some dude who's like, I got to make a game. And,
that's exactly it.
Yeah, but Home still, like, at the end, you understood walking out that door what happened. Here, it's like, well, and then so then the end, where he says it's not a lake, it's an ocean, and when he said that, he almost seemed possessed. Like, is that just their little cliffhanger for the second game that took him 13 years?
So at its most simple interpretation, the "it's not a lake, it's an ocean" line is a callback to Thomas Zane's poem in the tutorial, suggesting that Alan finally understands the message Zane was trying to tell him. For he did not know that beyond the lake he called home, there lied a deeper and darker ocean green, where waves are both wilder and more serene. To its ports I've been, to its ports I've been. What the message means, of course, is open to debate. Your own interpretation will likely change as you play the DLCs, American Nightmare and Control, which include multiple story references to Alan Wake. The question of whether Zane created Alan or vice versa is one that I doubt will ever be answered conclusively. This is just a random dude on Reddit, but that's basically, this is from 3 years ago. This is just him talking about, like, it's pretty much a callback, I guess, which is also like a callback, but also saying that like he understands what Zane was trying to tell him beforehand. I guess I don't know. It's weird.
You're making me realize that this is a story, and the reason why it failed is because yes, you were correct earlier. One, Alan Wake is not a reliable narrator, but also he is the most self-righteous, self-confident jerk in human existence. Because what this Redditor is saying is that Thomas Zane, a character that Alan Wake created, made a callback to his own poem. He made a triple callback to his dang self to try to think that he's cool. He's like, you remember that guy I made up who made a made-up poem that I made up? Well, I'm going to make that the biggest plot device of the story, and I'm going to make a callback to the callback of the fictional guy that I created. How awesome am I? Please praise me.
I really just want to I want us all to play the second game now because I want to see if it actually makes it better. I do. I've heard it's so good though. Oh, come on.
Really? I heard this game was good too, and look how this happened.
Yeah. There's a jump scare that I don't want to have to deal with, and I don't want to be disappointed
because
again.
If we play it in 10 years, then it'll feel awful.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm not playing it now because you know what happened 10 years ago already? I look at the cringy things I put on Facebook and spelling like with a Y instead of an I. I don't want to see that stuff again in 10 years from now. I don't want to be like, yeah, I thought Alan Wake 2 was the best game ever, because I will want to strangle myself. I'll be a 42-year-old man thinking Alan Wake 2 was cool, and that's not okay.
But you'll be a pretty good-looking 42-year-old man.
You absolutely will. Yeah, I don't know. I'm over here looking up yeah, sure. Shut up. I'm over here looking up information or people talking about the ending of Alan Wake 1, and it's just as confusing as I expected. Apparently there's a lot. Apparently much of it is left up to your own personal interpretation, which I love that. Sometimes that's done well, but
sometimes it is done well. But when it's
not a bad,
the beginning of the game, you couldn't understand the storyline. Middle of the game, you're like, okay, this is going somewhere. And the end of the game, it's like, where did it go?
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, sorry, what's up, Steven?
I was pretty certain that the whole aspect of no, Alan, you're going crazy, and that's just to make it more interesting than it really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just, okay, we're fighting the darkness.
Yeah, let me shoot 4 flares and we're done.
Nathan, let's hit it up with the statistics you wanted to do, and then we'll get into the rating.
Well, I just kind of, there's an actual page at the end. I thought it'd just be fun to
Yeah, we all sent it to you.
Yeah. And basically it talks about, I know, I'm saying that for the audience, not for you, Josh. And it basically gives you statistics on your playthrough of everything you've done in the game. So it's kills with all these different methods, certain objects destroyed, things found, and then there's a bunch of weird ones that I wouldn't even expect to be on there.
So what was your most surprising statistic about yourselves? Let's start there.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Let me double check that for mine,
because I realized that I really have something against birds in that game.
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't even realize I saw.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I saw that many birds, let alone killed them.
It must
told
count
me
the
I killed 902
as
birds
100
I
or
was
something. A flock of them is 25.
Someone should call PETA on me because that's insane.
All right, so I don't know if we want to go through every statistic. Where did I even share that? I'm trying to find
All right. I don't know where you shared yours. I have mine.
Yeah, I see Josh's in general. He put in the general chat.
Did I not share mine?
I didn't put mine in there.
So it's all of the options here are kills with revolver, flare gun, shotgun, hunting rifle, flashbangs, vehicles, and then there's one that's for indirect kills, one for poltergeist objects destroyed, one for birds killed, one for batteries used, manuscript pages found, coffee thermoses found, can pyramids knocked over. Apparently I did 3 of those. I don't remember. I think I did 1 because I was like, this would be funny. And
all right, so let's make this quick. Everybody, coffee thermoses. How many did you find? Because this is what we've been talking about the entire.
I only found 50, I think.
Yeah, we'll do the important ones.
So
it looks like Josh found 81 coffee thermoses. Andrew found. Where the heck is that? Oh, there it is. Andrew found 62 coffee thermoses. I found 84. That's pretty sweet. It's still out of 100, so I still missed 16.
So let's do manuscripts.
Now the manuscript pages, which I still never actually read. I never went back and actually read them, which at this point I don't even care.
Tried to read a few of the last ones to see if they'd give me any clues, just like what the ending's supposed to mean, but they don't really. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. So Josh did find 82 out of 106 manuscript pages. And Andrew found 73 out of 106. I found 75 out of 106. So I missed a whole bunch of those. It looks like Josh favored the revolver the most with 163 kills. He barely used the hunting rifle. Andrew he basically said, there's another weapon in this game. I will use it if I don't have revolver ammo. And I see that with statistics of 221 kills with a revolver, and his second highest is 63 with the shotgun. I said, I want to see how many achievements I can get, and I did every weapon I could possibly get to see if there were some hidden achievements for getting this amount of kills with this weapon. So I got 128 with the revolver, so that was actually my second highest, but the highest was 163 with the shotgun. I did go to 100 with the hunting rifle, but because I wanted to see if there was an achievement. My
revolver's 163, but my shotgun's 140.
Yeah, he was pretty balanced there, actually. But with you basically barely used the hunting rifle, which I love.
Maybe I'm stupid, but I did not understand the signs found.
I didn't understand a lot of it.
6 of them, and I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I didn't find a single cardboard standee. None of us did. None of us found a single cardboard standee. None of us found a single Night Springs video game. I don't know if these are nightmare mode or something.
Game. It's in the house where you go. And the two old guys' house. There's one in the two old guys' house.
You have to interact with it? I mean, I feel like
I'm assuming you had to interact with it because it says that I didn't find any of them, but I specifically remember one being there.
You don't mean the TV that plays Night Springs, the show?
Yeah, there was an actual video game.
Yeah, none of us found any alarm clocks either.
And I want to say there might have been one in the therapist's house as well.
I found 12 signs, and you found 14 signs, and I don't even know what it means by signs.
What? I found 6.
I did end up finding... did anybody max out any stats? Before we move on from this, we don't want it to take forever, but I did end up finding... I think I killed the least birds out of all of us, which is funny.
I am Captain Bird Killer.
Captain Bird Killer, you absolutely are. So, I found all of the radio shows. I did listen to all the radios. I missed one TV show, unfortunately. It looks like radio shows and TV shows were very close with Josh. He found all of 10 out of 11 radio shows, 11 out of 14 of the TV shows, and then Andrew found 9 out of 11 radio, but 13 out of 14 TV shows. So he found he was just one off for those as well. But that's pretty much it. I used the most batteries by far. In 217 used. Andrew used 80 batteries.
I was going to say, I'm surprised I used even what I did.
Oh, I don't see any of them. I didn't see any of those statistics.
I ended up not touching... I tried to use my batteries as little as possible, and I did 216. And Josh did... No, I'm sorry. Andrew used 104. He used just a little more than me. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Josh used 80. It's crazy. You guys are wild.
I never changed it. I just let it
I just let it recharge most of the time.
I did too, but there were times whenever there was a bunch of dudes coming at you, but then you guys probably used a flare, and I didn't use flares as much as I probably
I used flares.
So.
All right, so to keep things going, we're going to do the rating.
Yes, sir.
Remember, the rating is 1 through 10. It's based off of graphics, gameplay, story, replayability, cost versus value. We're going to average the score out, and then we're going to give our overall feeling.
Indeed.
The order I have it would be Nathan, Andrew, Josh, Steven. So, Nathan, do you want to give us...
Sure. What's first? Just start off with the graphics. So the graphics of this game, it's hard for me to say graphics because we did Talos Principle and the graphics are awesome, but maybe not for a AAA game in 2023, but that was 2016 or something like that. This is a 2010 game, and the graphics were still surprisingly good. Maybe not necessarily the animations. The animations were a little rough, a little janky, but that was pretty much how it was back then. At least unless you had bumped a ton of money into a game back then. Because I know even Halo 4 came out in 2012 and its animations were pretty good. So Overall, my graphics rating is probably, because I do want to call attention to the year it came out, maybe like a 7. I think that was where I'm landing
All
with
right,
it, because it was
Andrew?
pretty good overall, and like it really brought you into the world and that sort of thing, and the environment.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 just
Okay.
for that opening scene when you're on the boat is really cool.
Yeah.
They have a lot of like picturesque stuff that even today still holds up well. So, and that's I always try to take into consideration when it came out. And for
Mhm.
2010, yeah, I feel like that was really good.
Yeah, I gave it 7 as well. Andrew said the same things that I was going to say. When you think about graphics, the thing that stands out to me is that scene on the boat. And at the end of the game, they came back to that same scene with the actual parade happening.
Mhm.
So I thought it was pretty good for a 2010 game.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Steven?
Yep. 7 for me as well.
Okay.
Fits where it was in the times. It's, a far cry from, asteroids and Tetris and, those early days of 8-bit graphics and stuff.
Those are 10 out of 10 graphics.
What's that?
Those are 10 out of 10 graphics.
Okay. But they, they also had a lot of elements and new elements and stuff with light, playing with light, which was new for the time, and they still made sure that like the essential elements were visible and things like that. That's the sort of stuff that can get lost when you're starting to get artsy and stuff. Is you like, oh, I'm so artsy that now you can't really see things through the shadows and stuff like that. But they still made sure that there was enough depth and variation that you could make your way through it. And yeah, 7 for graphics.
Sweet.
Nathan, gameplay.
Gameplay 3. And this isn't me, like this is my personal feeling on it, because the actual gameplay, most of it is I'm walking around, I have a camera, like I'm on the left side and the camera's over here, or if I hit tab, oh, we switch a little bit and now I'm over here. It's a very like, I get that the gameplay it's a horror game. It's meant to be I'm not supposed to be like running around, flying around like Destiny's sliding and like doing all these crazy things. I'm just a normal dude. I'm just a writer. He's not the best runner. He like, I don't know.
He's a runner. He's a track star.
Like, I think they did a good job for what they wanted to do with the gameplay, but I did not enjoy the gameplay very much.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it was a little bit like, sometimes if I got jumped by 2 guys with knives and they went boom, boom, I couldn't get away before they boom, boomed me again and I was dead. And there were just certain things that I just like didn't really enjoy about the gameplay. It's janky overall, and I think it was janky on purpose for the style of game. So yeah,
Andrew?
Yeah, I was surprised. I figured Nathan would have gotten a little higher rating, but I said the same. It was definitely a 3. The whole aspect, I can't tell you how many times. Actually, I think the statistics show how many times you died by a poltergeist item. I could just be trying to dodge or just walking minding my own business. Don't hear no music. Not even the little like violin comes up and you just get thwapped with a 3,000-pound like iron thread and dude's just alive. He's like, yeah, this is a normal. I'm a writer and I can't run, but man, if I boxed, I could take a punch to the chin. But like, yeah, there were a lot of gameplay mechanics that just weren't right. Even just like the little trolley cart. There was a lot of instances in the game for me where it didn't work as intended. Even though I understood their idea, it still didn't. It wasn't executed well. 3 out of 10.
I give it a 3 as well. Episode 1, because the game's brand new to you. It's exciting. You're ready, but by the time you're playing episode 6, you're done. You don't want to run through the woods anymore. I hate the camera style, and I was done. Steven, gameplay?
Yeah, surprising. I'm probably the most generous. I give it a 5. I've definitely played worse, and while it was frustrating, it was frustrating whenever, like if you get killed, like sometimes the checkpoint that you go back to is like a long time ago and stuff. Even then, I think it kept it interesting, So, but same kind of problems that you guys were saying, where it's the getting attacked from behind and stuff, it's frustrating. I think that was kind of intentional though. It's like most games won't
Sure.
do that. They will like
Yeah.
try and give you a fair shot, but it was like that's kind of the horror aspect of it, is you are kind of like wondering, is there something over my shoulder?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that for what it was. I think, it was 5. I don't know. I wouldn't go back for seconds, I think.
Cool. Yeah, no, I get you. I'm going to add something real fast and then we'll move on to the next one. So I think if I enjoyed the actual like playing of the game, more of the gameplay, I do want to say that it added a lot of like, every time you played a new episode, it added a lot of new elements, a lot of new story elements that you had to interact with, because I feel like half the cutscenes, like halfway through the cutscene, you just kind of start playing the cutscene. Like you like have to like, walk around the house and like do some things with Alice or whatever. Like, and they always like threw something new to do. And, twice there's just this big old spotlight that they coded this thing into the game for you can just grab this big old spotlight and like aim it at some dudes and stuff. They didn't have to do that, but it added to it. And I thought it was cool. Like I feel like they just consistently added new things that were seen it got very little like playtime overall that they really didn't have to go the extra effort for, and they did. So I think there are really good aspects to the gameplay, but overall I didn't enjoy just how it played. So yeah, next one.
Nathan, hit me with that story rating. Make it
with
quick.
That story rating, oh my goodness. I mean, I feel like up until episode 6 I would have said like 6, but I'm gonna say 4.
Oh, all right, Andrew.
I said 5. It started out well, it dipped. But I've, on a scale to 10, 5 would be average is my thing. And I would say it's about an average storyline. Could have been great, just flopped.
I'm agreeing with Andrew again. The beginning was a little rocky, and then the middle was cool, and then the ending was terrible. But like those cutscenes that like played like TV shows were part of the story, and I can't take that away from the game's rating because they were really well done. So I'm gonna give it a 5. Steven?
Yeah, I think 5 for me too.
Crap.
Some people say it's like that. The story needs to be more than just the sum of its parts and stuff like that. But I mean, sometimes it is kind of challenging to think of stuff that is cool enough to be those different parts. And they definitely were, trying to think of things which would populate this world, with, the rock stars and the, darkness and the lights and the birds and things like that. So, the way things were introduced, the way they made you feel and stuff like that, there was attention to those, and and it does guide you along an experience, right? It wasn't completely disjointed or removed. There's something to be gleaned from it. But yeah, just not a whole lot of depth to what the story was, and the ending kind of leaves you just confused.
For sure. Yeah, actually, that you guys brought up some good points, and my score has gone up to a 4.5, which does round up to a 5.
All right, let's keep this going. Replayability, Nathan.
I don't really want to play it again. I mean,
we've
talked about. I know. We've talked about replayability as either you want to come back to play the next episode of the game, like I want to play the next mission, quote unquote, or replayability as I want to play the game again.
I think it's for the game again because like we're giving the overall, because I have it final game rating 1 through 10.
Yeah.
So I feel like the replayability wouldn't be like how much do I want to play the next episode? It's do I want to pick this game up again? I
mean, I probably wouldn't. But it was also like $2. We got it really cheap on Steam during a sale, so we're gonna get into cost versus value here soon. But I don't regret playing it. Well, it was definitely not anywhere near my top of favorite games, but like I think I'm glad I played it, but I definitely wouldn't play it again. I don't know.
I'll put you down for a 1.
No, I don't want to say but I don't think it's that bad. Like I wouldn't hate playing it again. I just don't really have a desire to. So I'm actually gonna give it a 4. It's below average for replayability. I wouldn't, but I don't want it to be a 1.
All right, Andrew, hit me up.
Yeah, 1.5.
Okay. So that's a 2.
Is that rounding up to a 2?
Terrible. Yeah, sure. Round up math.
All right. I'm gonna give it a 1 because there doesn't need to be a point. Steven?
As you guys remember, I rate replayability by how much the game helps me to not replay it.
The man already
Move
deleted
on.
the game.
So this one
I did.
9, baby. Oh,
All
yeah.
right. Wait.
What did you give it?
A 9 on replay. What?
So you mean 2, right? I'm
Essentially,
confused.
right. I like how
Yeah.
replayable it is because I don't want to replay it that much.
I think another reason. Oh, I'm sorry.
There is also the fact, I think you should get some credit for the fact that they made these modes of like nightmare and
Mhm.
there's an incentive to get back in there because there are certain manuscript pages you can't find.
Mhm.
So like if you do enjoy the game and or you do enjoy a challenge and you've got plenty of time and stuff,
Yeah.
They incentivize you. They've got those factors in there that you could.
Yeah,
you're
well, I
giving it
value
a
my
9.
time,
Spending a whole lot of
so
more time
yeah,
doing the exact same
I
thing.
wouldn't play this again because I value my time.
All right, you're giving it a 9.
So yeah, that's a 9 for me.
Okay.
All right.
No, I
Nathan,
agree with your
first.
points though, which is probably another reason why it's not a 1 for me, because I do like that they give you another mode that don't you unlock it when you beat the game the first time, or can you play Nightmare from the beginning? I don't remember.
I thought you could play from the beginning.
Maybe
I
it's
could be wrong.
possible. I could
From the
be wrong.
beginning,
But no, I do like that they
You
have
are.
like
Okay.
all of these collectibles that you can go back through if you're really a completionist and you want to explore and stuff like that, and you can do a harder mode if you want to, that sort of thing. It's cool. Some manuscripts pages can only be found on Nightmare mode, so there's also that.
I
Josh,
forgot to tell you, I hit my head off of a light
this is
today.
not the time, but holy crap,
Oh,
that
my
looks
head.
painful.
All right, Nathan, cost versus value. Oh, thank you.
Well, if I got it for its normal price, which I'm assuming is like $10 these days on Steam, it would be lower, but I'm gonna say like a 6 because I still enjoyed the game and I would play a lot of games for as cheap as I got it. And
Andrew?
yeah.
Yeah, 2.
Okay.
It was free for me, and I still never want to play it again. It has
was it?
very little replay value. It just wasted my time.
I'm gonna give it a 4. It was super cheap and it was good enough that we played the whole way through just to be upset at the end. So, Steven?
I'm gonna give it a 6. I got it for free.
It's hard to knock that. You get something for free and then...
Yeah, well,
All right, so he's calculating the
knocking it.
scores. While he does that, I'm going to give my overall... Can I just start right now and give my overall feeling?
Or
I think I'm going to straight up say, like, middle of the road. This was a 5. It was just, like, average game experience. I really enjoyed some parts of it. I really did not enjoy other parts of it. And I just think overall, 5 fits for my feeling toward it.
Andrew?
I was rating a 5 before episode 6, and it dropped it to a 4.
Wow.
The story had
only
to
one?
do
Okay.
something for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story had to do something for me, and it didn't. It fell really flat. So yeah, below average for me.
Steven?
So I'm gonna give the game a little more credit. I'm gonna go for 7. I think this overall, maybe 6. Yeah, let's go for 6. I'm gonna give the game a little more credit just because
Keep going.
it's
going.
a game.
You're good. You can do it.
It's a game. It's not just a story. It's a game.
Yeah.
As far as being a game and trying to balance, that, the challenge, right, and the reward you feel of like, yeah, I passed that challenge, versus the keeping it flowing and keeping it exciting.
Mm-hmm.
They're fair
Andrew, what was
job.
your
Yeah, this
score?
game did not fill me with any dopamine though. So I
Andrew.
respect what you're saying, but
What was your
Okay.
score?
I thought it was pretty
4.
sometimes.
Mine was 6.
Well, I gave it a 4 too. It was
Mine was 5.
It was interesting. It was below average. I don't want to play it again. So the average score, Nathan is a 5. Weirdly, Andrew is a 5.2.
Interesting.
I'm a 4, and Steven's a 6.4.
Stevens is going to be higher because of that 9.
That 9 helped him out. Yeah, he actually meant 9 as in no.
Sorry, does that officially raise me to Alan Wake fan status?
I don't think so. I
I
don't think
think
6.4
that
makes you much of a... I mean, I guess so. Like, you're a fan, but you're not very invested in the fan.
No, I think you
base.
gotta
I
be
told
like
you guys in the chat when I
0.2.
finished it, I was like, I'd rather play Alan Sleep.
I saw that, and I was very
Bro,
curious because
yeah.
none of us have finished it at that point.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, man,
Oh.
really?
Yes.
That's sad.
Do we
That'd
know
be
what
better.
Good stuff.
time it
Good
is?
ratings. Fun times. And we do know what time it is. Andrew's ready.
Oh, I'm always ready. What time is it, boys? Listen,
Once
that's
again,
always,
the sound effect is ridiculously loud. We got to do something about that.
that's what time it is after the podcast for me. You
I
still
know
got
it
some
always
time.
is.
Always. So yeah, time for fantasy draft. So you boys can go ahead into the chat that I believe it was the update battle chat
Okay.
and reveal that spoiler tag. So what we have here are 9 characters, 9 people, some fictional, some not. Our goal, and we'll just say we're going to start with Nathan, Andrew, Josh, Steven, and then Steven, Josh, Andrew, Nathan. This whole goal we have child Anakin Skywalker. We've got Barney. We've got Bart Simpson, Jack Black, Subway Jared, JFK.
That's who that is.
We got Snoopy, Terminator, and Waluigi. This gentleman, we have to pick 2 people that we believe we can confidently destroy in a fist fight.
Okay.
And there is, which means it's
You
going
made
to
this
leave us
way
with
too
one
easy.
person, which means there's going to be one person left that none of us are confident
Well, that's
that we
obviously
can
gonna be
beat.
Waluigi.
Oh,
in a
because we
fist
can't
fight.
choose each other's. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, so go for it, Nathan. You get first pick.
Listen, Snoopy got nothing on me. I'm decking that guy to next week.
He is one of the few people that I feel like would put up a good fight. I think
Nah,
he is a scrappy little
That's a little
dog.
cartoon dog. What do you mean?
Nathan,
Oh,
I just want you
I'd
to know
roundhouse kick him. What's up?
we had a battle royale conversation at the wedding, and our table took the championship home.
Oh,
That's
for
lovely.
sure.
I'm glad
The
to hear
only
that.
table we were worried about was the table with Todd and I can never remember his name. Who's the cousin that's from the
Marcus.
Marcus? That was the only table I was worried about.
Now, who's
Otherwise,
next?
we'd have easily won. So I would be next, and I would have to say, let me look at that list again. Confidently, bro, I will annihilate child Anakin, and I won't be afraid to say that. Like all it takes is
Yeah.
one swift kick and off of his head.
He's not in with the powers yet. He's not
I mean,
going to
did
be
he
able to fight
have
back.
force?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he had
he was force sensitive. He knew about the
midichlorians,
force.
but like,
Yeah.
Was there was
no.
there some instance in the movie or something where it was like, oh, they're in a bind, and then he suddenly does some little thing with the
Yeah,
force to get
He
them
was
out?
messing with it a little bit.
Anakin.
No, it was basically psychic premonitions.
No, that kid's
at
gone.
point for
That
him.
kid's
and he
gone.
can psychically premisize that I'm going to put my foot in his mouth.
My
My
food.
foot and my boot.
Eat my food.
All right, Josh.
I am taking Subway Jared.
Ha
Interesting.
yeah. Okay. Now, pre or post-op surgery? That's the question. Because Big Jared's a different fight than Thin Jared.
Pre or post prison?
Ooh, post-prison. He might be a little swole, my guy.
I mean, pre or post surgery. I'll take him either way.
Doesn't
All right,
matter.
Steven.
Now,
Hit us with, you get to pick back to back, so hit us with the next 2 people you could confidently take.
JFK, he was in a wheelchair, right? Or was that somebody else?
I think that was someone else.
I think that was someone else.
Okay.
He might
But you know what? He's in a box right now, so
No,
Marilyn
he's in a
Monroe.
box right
Bullet
now,
through the
so I'm
head,
pretty sure you
JFK,
can
right?
take him.
This is pre-bullet through the head, JFK.
this is
Technically
JFK
speaking,
as
yes.
appearing in the picture.
Okay.
By the way,
Does
I'll have to
Marilyn
show the picture
Monroe-
on the
Like,
screen
he
or
finishes
something.
the picture, and I'm
Does
standing
Mar-
back there like,
Does Marilyn
Yes.
Monroe come with as his sidekick?
Negative.
Okay, I want to take Barney then. Like Barney.
All right.
Bro, I'm legit
Interesting.
afraid Barney could beat me. Like, I don't know who the man is in that suit, but he's got to fill out that, 7-foot frame.
But
that
he,
Barney
but he
is,
can't
man.
see. That's the thing.
Yeah,
He
but
can't
and
see.
you can't tell how big his
No
arms are in the
peripheral
costume.
vision.
Yeah,
In the suit,
you
yeah,
have
it's
that.
too fluffy.
Yeah, but you don't need peripheral vision to be, swanging that tail, bro. He's gonna be
I'm
difficult
gonna grab
to
the
fight,
tail
but, hey,
like Bowser and swing it around. And
you're
throw him off
far
the
more confident in your fighting ability than I am, then, that's for sure.
Just take
Barney
out his
might
legs
destroy
while
me.
he can't see.
Yeah, I'm taking Barney, man.
Am I
I don't want
next?
nothing to do with
I'm
Bart
taking-
Yes,
Simpson
you're next, Josh.
I'm
I-
taking
I-
Bart.
I
That
know
would
who's
just
going to be
make-
the last 2, and I already know who
Bart.
I have to pick, but I don't
taking
believe
Bart.
either of them. Taking Bart, you're going to beat the crap out of Bart? You think
Oh,
you can
yeah.
do it?
Oh yeah.
Wait,
I'm
so,
gonna mow
oh
his
yeah, we go in reverse.
long
Right? So
head.
that's my next pick.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Bart would probably be my
Yeah.
next pick.
Wait, you said JFK and Barney.
No, he
Yeah, you
wasn't
said
saying.
JFK and Barney.
I'll leave JFK alone.
Yeah, he thought he was in a wheelchair. He thought he was a cripple.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so what? Does that make it my turn to pick then?
And that makes it Josh's turn.
Okay.
I'm so confused.
Repick
So I'll
Josh.
just take Waluigi.
I don't know. It might be Jack Black.
Waluigi has no muscle mass whatsoever. I think you're good.
I'll just yell at him and then rip his head off.
Dude,
Yeah.
Waluigi is God.
I don't want to go that far. He
Now
may,
you're
he
sounding
may
like
be godly.
you've been reading too many of them Dead Sea Scrolls, my guy.
You guys not even follow memes?
All right,
man.
Andrew.
Like, I think he's just like one step below Shaggy on the power scale.
He might be.
No, he's
Something
not
like
up
that.
there.
I don't know.
Not
Andrew?
that I think I would confidently win, but I would actually pay money to watch me and Jack Black fight. So I'm going to go with fighting Jack Black.
I like
Fair
him
enough.
too much. That's why I didn't choose him.
I do too, but you know what? That would be peak comedy.
I'm so
be
surprised you
peak.
went the comedy route because that wasn't the prompt. But hey, I will absolutely and
Oh, Mr.
unashamedly put a bullet through JFK's head with my fist. That's gonna happen.
There we go.
Yeah, no one's
face
touching
so
that
good.
Terminator. Why'd you put the Terminator in this? Who's gonna pick the Terminator?
This was a pre-generated list, so yeah. I had to pick something.
Yeah, so I guess there's something to be
Nathan's
said
black
that
and
I'm
white.
gonna beat the crap out of Snoopy and JFK. I wonder if that means something. Like, is that like a horoscope? Maybe.
It's a personality type.
I don't maybe.
Maybe a
If you're an
personality
Enneagram
type.
type.
I just find it great that I ended up choosing the fact that I would beat the brakes off of a child and a fat guy.
Everyone needs a fat guy.
Yeah, two fat guys in a ring. We'll just
Mhm.
butter us up and throw them hands.
I would pay to see that.
Once, right? Take them one
See,
at a time.
now the gears are turning. This is how we become millionaires, boys.
It's beautiful.
All right, Steven.
Well,
you handsome fellow.
I know.
timestamp
Thank you.
I gotta
person.
go.
I know.
Get us out of here.
Well,
Got a
we're gonna
game
do
night I'm
a
hosting.
bit of an outro, but he is doing a game night here, which is pretty cool. He's
Not here with
busy
us,
boy.
like
Yeah, no,
where
different
he
thing,
is.
different thing. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to anyone who may be still watching or maybe has just skipped to the end because. But I just appreciate every one of us appreciates you all, and if you are watching on any podcasting platforms, aka listening. Always rating the podcast is a big help. You can rate it whatever you want, but you know,
5 stars.
5's pretty sweet. 1 is like, but if that's how you really feel, you know, we accept free speech here. So if you want to do that, cool. You know, subscribe to us on the channel if you're watching this on YouTube, because likely lots of people who have seen this just have forgotten to hit the subscribe button because of all the crazy amount of views that we do get. And so yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for hanging out with
Like,
us.
Share, comment, subscribe, and don't commit suicide.
And Steven's
Let's
mother
go. He needs to be here every week.
does not have Tourette's, but that was wonderful. That's all we needed. Thank you, Steven.
Amen.